Hello everyone, this is Dr. Suman, Associate Professor from the Department of Civil Engineering, AG Institute of Engineering and Technology, Mangalore. Here today I will be introducing you to the concept of curvilinear motion, that is basically in the polar coordinates. Last video lecture we have seen how to resolve or to find the position of a particle in a Cartesian coordinates. You know that when a particle is moving in the curved path, then it is said to be a curvilinear motion. Sometimes we may not be in a position to resolve it in the in the Cartesian coordinates. In such cases, we can conveniently describe the particle's position by using the polar coordinates. Now, for example, we take a particle or say a collar which is fixed to the rod or which is placed to the rod OA, which is at a distance of radial distance of r, that is a position vector r of the position vector r of the particle. This particle can be represented in the polar coordinates by means of r and theta. What is theta? Theta is the angle made by the rod. Okay. So, angular position will be theta and the radial distance is r. Okay. So, this polar coordinates of the point P will be nothing but r comma theta. So, theta is with respect to the horizontal axis. So, this particle or the collar is moving away from this point O along the rod, and it is as well as rotating about this point O. Okay, this is the condition here. So, along this radial direction, the velocity and the acceleration of the particle can be resolved into two components, that is parallel and perpendicular to the position vector r. Okay, these components are radial and transverse components. So, radial, basically if this collar is here or here or here, the radial distance r will vary along this rod. So, that is taken parallel VR, and this is V theta, that is which is transverse component. Theta will go on increasing about this point. If this rod is rotating about the point O, then theta will go on increasing along this position. So, that is taken as V theta. Actual velocity is V. Okay. So, here we are not going into depth of derivation of all these components, whereas the radial component and transverse component of velocity is important. You need to remember the equations. We are not going to derive it. Okay. So, the radial component of velocity directed along the position vector, this is the position vector, along this is VR component, velocity, that is a radial component of velocity, which is given as r dot. Now, r dot, this may be a new term for you. This r dot has been introduced by Newton. Newton's notation, it is called Newton's notation for differentiation. This is nothing but the first derivative of r. This is a dependent parameter, okay, dependent variable. So, it is dependent upon the time t. Okay, that is why it is given as r is the velocity with respect to r. Now, with respect to the time here, dr by dt represented as meter per second. Okay, and this is acceleration, that is r double dot. If it is, then it is acceleration with respect to r. So, it is d squared by dt squared is nothing but r double dot. Theta is the angular velocity. Okay, theta here, theta dot is d theta by dt, and if it is theta double dot, then it is angular acceleration. d square theta by d theta dt square. Okay, second derivative. Now if I want to find out the velocity of this, that is the velocity, this one, it's a resultant of v theta and vr, square root of v squared vr squared plus v theta squared is nothing but the total velocity. Similarly, we will go for acceleration. You have the radial component of acceleration ar is equal to r double dot minus r into theta dot square. Here this is the second derivative of r, this is first derivative of theta with respect to t. Transverse component of acceleration a theta is equal to r into theta double dot plus 2r single dot theta dot. The total acceleration is square of these two, square root of square of these two accelerations. So you can find out the total acceleration as well as the total velocity from these equations. You need to remember this. Now the relation between the velocity component and the acceleration component is also there. So you need to remember this. Acceleration with radial acceleration is equal to Vr dot first derivative of velocity, radial velocity, minus v theta into theta dot ar. Radial acceleration is equal to v theta dot first derivative of v and minus vr theta dot. Okay, usually for you all only you are supposed to find out acceleration component and the velocity components. Okay, it should be noted that the radial component of velocity, that is Vr, and acceleration, radial component of acceleration Ar, are to be taken positive in the same sense as the position vector r. That means here along the sign, if it is along this direction, then it becomes positive, or if it is in the opposite direction, moving towards this point O, okay, then it is along the direction, then the sign is positive. If it is in the opposite direction, then it becomes negative. Okay. Then similarly, we have transverse component of velocity and acceleration are taken to the positive if the pointing towards increasing value of theta, that is if it is along this, the velocity component is increasing along with the increase in the v theta, then it is positive. If it is in the other direction, then it is negative. That is what it means. So how are we going to prove this? To understand the physical significance of the above results, let us assume the following two situations. The two cases are if r is constant length and theta varies. That means if r is constant, this is not increasing, only theta is increasing. If something is constant, then its derivative will be how much? If anything is constant, r is constant here we are telling. So if r is constant, then r derivative will be r dot with respect to t is nothing but 0. So second derivative is also 0. Correct? Velocity. So what happens to the velocity component? That is the transverse component of velocity will reduce to, see our equation is v theta is equal to r into theta dot. R is constant, this equation remains, but in case if it was r dot here, see here r dot, constant first derivative is 0. So Vr will become 0, v theta will be r into theta dot. So v theta will be r into theta dot, Vr is equal to 0. Similarly, acceleration component. Transverse component of acceleration, we will look into the acceleration component, transverse component equation. Here r is constant, so this term will remain, whereas first derivative of the constant is 0. So this term goes off, only a theta is equal to r into theta double dot, ar is equal to r double dot, this is 0, minus r into theta dot square remains. So only minus this term will remain, radial component. So see the equation is a theta is equal to r into theta double dot, AR is equal to minus R into theta dot square. So please note here the negative sign indicates that AR is directed opposite to the sense of position vector R or towards O. So since we got acceleration negative, it says that it is in the opposite direction. Okay. So next one is, if only R varies, if R varies and theta is constant, it resolves a rectilinear motion along a fixed theta direction. Now theta is constant means what happens? Theta dot becomes, first derivative of that becomes 0, second derivative of that also becomes equal to 0. So velocity component, if you look into the velocity component equation, theta dot is 0. So V theta is equal to 0, VR is equal to R dot. This equation reduces to R dot, remains as R dot, correct? VR is R dot, V theta is 0. We will look into the A theta equation and AR equation, that is AR, radial component of acceleration becomes, theta is 0 here, so this becomes R double dot, A theta is, this is 0, this is 0, so both components 0, A theta, that is the transverse component of acceleration, becomes 0, radial component of acceleration becomes R double dot. Okay. So you need to remember these concepts and formulas, no derivation for all in the syllabus. Okay. So next one is a problem with this concept, that is, so in this problem the rotation of a rod OA is defined by the relation theta is equal to pi by 2 into 4t minus 3t square. A collar P slides along this rod in such a way that its distance from O is given by R is equal to 1.25 t squared minus 0.9 t cube. In these relations, theta is expressed in radians, R is in meters, t is in seconds. Determine the velocity of collar, second, total acceleration of collar when t is equal to 1 seconds. So you know the relation here, theta is given as so much and the relation of R is given so much. So you are supposed to find out the velocity of the collar and total acceleration of the collar. So the basic equation of theta and R will have to be differentiated and you will have to substitute the values to find out the radial component and the, so we know the basic equation, that is theta is equal to pi by 2 4t minus 3t squared. So you have to differentiate this equation once and apply t is equal to 1 seconds. Differentiate this equation twice and apply this t is equal to 1 seconds. Okay. Likewise, differentiate this R equation once and twice and apply, each time apply the value of t as 1 seconds and find out R dot, R double dot, theta dot, theta double dot, and as well as theta you need to find out, so that in your velocity, what is asked, velocity as well as the acceleration. Acceleration final equation is what? A is equal to square root of A theta square plus AR square. You have to find out. Whereas velocity is found out by using the transverse component velocity as well as the radial component of velocity square. You will get the total velocity. So in order to find out the individual radial component as well as the velocity component, you need to know the formula. V theta is equal to R into theta dot and VR is equal to R dot. So find out VR first, that is R dot. In order to find out R dot, you need to go for differentiation of the basic equation. Basic equation of the R is given as 1.25 t squared minus 0.9 t cube. Substitute 1 over here, you will get R is equal to 0.35. R dot is first differentiation, that is 1.25 into 2t minus 0.9 into 3t squared. Substitute 1 in that. Substitute 1 here. You will get r dot as minus 0.2 meter per second. R double dot is differentiation of this equation once more. Differentiation of this equation once more. That is 2.5 minus 2.7 t. Okay. So substitute the value of t there and get the r double dot answer. Likewise theta. Theta equation is given as pi by 2 4t minus 3t square. First differentiation of this is pi by 2 into 4 minus 6t. So here at 1 is equal t is equal to 1 second. Substitute, find out this minus pi radians per second you got. Next one, differentiate this equation once more. Theta double dot, you will get it as minus 6. Pi by 2 into minus 6. Substitute, there is no t to substitute over here. Just simplify this. Minus 3 pi radian per second square is theta double dot. Now substitute these respective terms in your equation for radial velocity and the transverse component of velocity. Likewise, and you will get the final velocity. Okay, and angle also you can find out. V theta by VR value you will get alpha. Acceleration of the polar P, that is our basic equation for AR and A theta. Substitute the respective values. What is R double dot is minus 2.9 meter per second minus R is 0.35, R is 0.35 into theta dot is minus pi, we got it as minus pi. Substitute that, find out what is AR. Similarly, find out what is A theta, you will get it as minus 2.04 meter per second square. Substitute in the basic equation of total acceleration, AR this square and this square, will get the answer. Okay. Then find out the angle for this. A theta divided by AR 17.8 degree you will get. Okay. Next problem. A particle moves along the spiral shown in figure this one 11.37. The motion of a particle is defined by relations r is equal to 10t, theta is equal to 2 pi t. R is expressed in centimeter, theta in radians, t in seconds. Determine the velocity and acceleration of particle when t is equal to 0 and t is equal to 0.3 seconds. Okay. Similar to previous problem, what you have to do is you have to differentiate these both. This one, once you differentiate, you will get 10. 2 times you differentiate, you will get it as 0 because 10 is a constant. Constant derivative will become 0. Similarly, theta, only once you can differentiate this, you will get 2 pi. Second time when you differentiate, you will get it as 0. So, substituting the respective values. So, substitute the respective values in the velocity, radial component and transverse component. So, whatever you are getting r, you please substitute over here. Okay, and theta respectively, and find out what is the total at t is equal to, if say for example r initially you have 10t. So, t is how much? T is given as first case t is equal to 0. So, when first case t is equal to 0, r is equal to 0 you will get, correct? So, you find out what is the velocity Vr square plus V theta square, you will get 10 centimeter per second. Now, what is the acceleration component? That is A is equal to AR square plus A theta square is equal to how much you are supposed to find out. Acceleration, that is along the radial component, we have this formula. Find out what is R double dot. Okay, R at t is equal to 0 is 0 and theta dot, you find out that t is equal to 0. Find out that, substitute the value of theta dot here 2 pi which is equal to 0. So AR is equal to, so there is a mistake here, that is 2 is not there. So AR is equal to 0. A theta, R is 0. Here 2 into R dot is 10 and T is equal to 0. So you will get it so much. Substituting the value of pi and multiplying with 20, you will get 125.65. Square of this number, you will get 125.6, same you will get 125.6 centimeter per second square. So here only t is equal to 0, it is solved. You please solve for the other, it's an exercise. Please solve for t is equal to 0.3 seconds and check. First find out the derivatives of the given equation, this and this, and substitute 0.3 seconds and check and find out what is the velocity and acceleration. Next concept is centrifugal force. Please look back into your slide previous video, that is centrifugal force I have mentioned somewhere in the curvilinear path. I believe there's a small correction, please rectify it here. So centripetal force, now we have something called a centrifugal force and centripetal force. Okay, so centripetal force is defined as the force that is necessary to keep an object moving in a curved path, and that is directed inwards towards the center of rotation. Okay, whereas centrifugal force is defined as the apparent force that is felt by an object moving in a curved path that acts outwardly away from the center of rotation. Okay, that is why usually when we, in simple terms, if we take a bucket of water and we put our hand into it, arm into it, and start giving it a swirling rotation, we give it a rotation for the water at the center, what happens is after some time the water in the middle, a vortex is formed and these water particles get a swing and they move towards the edges of the bucket. Okay, so there is a push from inside towards outside. Okay, so likewise whenever we are moving even on a horizontal road, when there is a curve, what happens to the vehicle? There is an outward force acting on the vehicle. It makes us to be thrown from the curved path. Some force is experienced by the people sitting inside the car. Okay, likewise when you are swinging any object tied to a string, and when we are swinging, producing a rotational motion, what happens is there is some tension in the string. In case you leave the string or the string breaks, there is an outward push for the object. This force is called as the centrifugal force. Okay, so if at all the object has to remain in position along the curved path, then there is a force that is necessary to keep the object moving in the curved path. That inward force towards the center of rotation is called as the centripetal force. Okay, this is the basic difference between the centripetal force and the centrifugal force. I think in the slide there is, please get back and look into it. Okay, and with the same concept, okay, this is one of the important concept when we design the roads, especially when we are traveling along the roads. There is a concept called as super elevation. That is, if in case the road is horizontal, then the centrifugal force acting radially outside will draw the vehicle away from the center. Okay, and it causes slipping of the vehicle, that is the lateral slipping. So if this has to be prevented, or if there shouldn't be, that is why we see in curved roads, if the super elevation provided, this concept is called a super elevation. That is why we see if this elevation provided is not designed properly. The road, when it is curved, slightly upward tilt will be there from the outer side of the road. If this tilt is not designed properly, usually in the curved roads we will experience some accidents. Okay, so in order to prevent this lateral slipping of the vehicle due to centrifugal force, the road edge away from the center, that is the outer edge, will be slightly raised from the inner edge. You may see here there is slight increase in the height here compared to the inside portion. Okay, so this is called as the super elevation. Okay, so and denoted that vertical height is denoted as the E with respect to the inner edge. Okay, consider vehicle of mass M. A circular negotiates a circular curve of radius r with the velocity v. Let the angle with which the road surface be inclined at an angle theta with respect to the horizontal surface. Okay, so this is now in order to derive an expression for the angle with which it has to be designed over here, that is in order to design this angle theta, I will take the forces which is acting along this vehicle, on this vehicle, that is if the weight of this is considered as W is equal to m into g, mass into acceleration due to gravity g. So this is the weight. I have told you weight will always act perpendicular to the horizontal surface. So the vehicle's weight is acting downwards, making an angle theta which is same as this angle. So in many of the problems I have showed you how we can arrive at this angle, correct? So find out this angle, which is nothing but the same angle produced here. Same angle will be produced here as well. So now I want to find out the angle, this angle. So what I'll do, summation of the forces along the x-axis are the same. That is, now what is this? This is W is equal to mg. What is this? This is the force, that is the centrifugal force. Centrifugal force is for an object in the curved path is given as mv square divided by r. M is the mass, v is the velocity, r is the radius. Okay, so along the x-axis if I resolve, one is mg force minus mg theta made with respect to y is so along this the component is cos, along the x-axis it is mg minus mg sine theta along the x-axis. Same way, this is the angle theta made by mv squared by r force, that is Fc force. So this will be cos theta moving towards the positive x-axis. So it is plus mv squared by r cos theta. So this expression will be minus plus mv squared by r cos theta is equal to 0, equilibrium condition, dynamic equilibrium condition. So when it comes to right hand side, even this will be minus, so minus and minus gets cancelled. So you will get it as this much, m will get cancelled here. So sin theta by cos theta is nothing but tan theta. Tan theta is equal to mv squared by r divided by mg. So v squared by gr will remain. So theta is equal to v squared by gr. So if you are asked to design the super elevation and they find out the angle theta, you have to use this expression and arrive at the same. So what is super elevation? Super elevation is nothing but this design component E, how much it should be above the other side of the road. The outer surface, how much it should be raised with respect to the inner surface, that this horizontal is called as super elevation. Okay. Let us take one problem in this aspect. An automobile is supposed to negotiate with the speed of 120 km per hour. A curvilinear track of radius r is equal to 250 meter. Find the angle of banking so that the vehicle can negotiate the curve without slipping. R is given as 250 meter, G is 9.81 meter per second square. We know it. V is given, it should be 126, either this is 126, right? So substitute here 126 into kilometer per hour. So I want to convert it into meter per second into 1000 divided by 3600. So it is 35 meter per second. So I am supposed to find out what is the angle of banking. So theta I am supposed to find. Tan theta is equal to V squared by GR. G is 9.81. R radius is given as 250. Find out theta. Theta is 26.54. Okay. Next problem. A wagon has to negotiate a curve of radius 1000 meter. R is 1000 meter. The mass of wagon is 5000 kgs. 5000 kgs is mass. Okay. Find the safe speed of the train if the outer rail is raised over by inner rail 18 millimeter and the distance between the rails is 1 meter. R is equal to 1000, G is 9.81 meter per second square, assume. E is, so I told you the super elevation, that is with respect to the inner rail how much it is raised, or inner road. Outer rail is raised over inner rail by 18. Outer rail is raised by 18 with respect to the inner rail. This distance is given as E as 18 and this distance between the rails is given as 1 meter. Distance between the rails is 1 meter. So if I take a tan theta here, tan theta is E divided by 1000 opposite by HSL. So it is 18 by 1000. So I have tan theta as 18 by 1000. Okay. I also know the formula as tan theta is equal to V squared by GR. Correct? Our original formula, tan theta is equal to V squared by GR. G is 9.81. R is radius of the curve, that is 1000. Curve radius is 1000. So substitute here. V you do not know here, it's not given. So using this given data, I'll find out what is the velocity. What is asked? They have asked find the safe speed of the train. We are not using this mass anywhere. So directly you will get 47.84 kilometer per hour. Okay. Next. So usually that sort of problem will come in the super elevation. The last concept in the fifth module is, that is D'Alembert's principle, application to a particle. Okay. D'Alembert's principle is just an alternative form of Newton's second law of motion. It's introduced by Jean Le Rond D'Alembert. The D'Alembert's principle is basically, you know what is the Newton's second law, right? That is F is equal to ma, correct? Newton's second law is nothing but summation F is equal to ma, correct? So here what this principle basically says is, if there is a particle here and if there are a large number of forces acting on the particle, then you know how to find out the resultant for this. So what happens to this particle? It will move in the direction of the resultant. Say F1, F2, F3, F4 produces a resultant R, then this particle is supposed to move, or it will move in the direction of the resultant force R. Now if I take this whole thing as a system, okay, and I apply another force, this whole thing as a system, and this is the resultant of the system, I apply another force in this direction, okay, that is nothing but I can, along the line of action, I can shift it here. So if I apply another force of mass m at an acceleration a, and that force is known as Fi in the opposite direction, then this body will remain in equilibrium. Okay, or if the body is moving, then that body also can be brought to rest, brought to equilibrium by adding another inertia force to the system. That is, by applying this inertia force, I can bring this body to a dynamic equilibrium if it is moving in case. So, this concept is called as D'Alembert's principle. That is adding another force, inertia force to the system in order to bring it in dynamic equilibrium. Okay. From the Newton's second law of motion, we know that summation F is equal to ma. So, summation F minus ma is equal to 0. So, this ma is nothing but summation of Fi, that is the inertia force. So, summation Fi is nothing but the inertia force. Okay. So, in case only one force is acting on this particle, then the other inertia force exerted on this particle Fi is equal to minus ma, which is imagined to be acting on the particle, then F and Fi are in equilibrium. Okay. If there is only force acting at this particle P and there is another force Fi which is stopping it in, then that concept is called as D'Alembert's principle. And in case there are many forces acting over here, summation of that all the forces or the resultant of all the forces are another force Fi, summation Fi, acting on the opposite side, stopping it in equilibrium or bringing it to equilibrium. That force, then that concept is also called as D'Alembert's principle. Okay, when many forces are there. So now I can replace that summation of F in terms of R. So I can write the same expression when there are many forces. I can write the same expression as resultant R minus ma is equal to 0, or R is equal to ma, where a is the will give the resultant acceleration of the particle. Okay, so this can be written as R is equal to ma. Okay, we'll take up one problem in this. A particle having a mass of 8 kg. See, these problems are similar to the concept of frictional problems. Okay, a particle having a mass of 8 kg starts from rest and attains a speed of 1.5 meter per second in a horizontal distance of 10 meter. Okay, assuming coefficient of friction 0.2 and uniformly accelerated motion, what is the smallest value of a constant horizontal force P which may be required to get this to motion? Okay, so this is the given figure. They have given you P is a force acting on this particle of mass 8 kg. Mass 8 kg. When it is given in kg, you have to always multiply it by 9.81 and bring it in terms of Newton. So m into g. Remember this. G, whereas the weight of the body is always acting perpendicular down. So W is equal to 8 into 9.81 newtons. It starts from rest and attains a speed of 1.5 meter per second. So velocity is 1.5 meter per second. In the horizontal distance 10 meter. That is S is equal to 10 meter. Assuming coefficient of friction, see, whenever the body is moving, we have studied in the concepts of friction, that is when the body is moving in this direction, there is a friction force in the opposite direction. Okay, so it is F is equal to mu into N. What is N? N is the normal reaction applied by the contact surface. Do you remember? In the friction problems, we used to apply a friction force in the opposite direction of that of the force, in which direction the body moves. Opposite direction to that is a friction force and perpendicular to that is the normal reaction, which can be shifted along the line of action upwards. That is N. Okay. So, And what is the friction coefficient given as 0.2. Okay. From the equations of motion, we have v squared is equal to u squared plus 2as. Second equation of motion, v squared is equal to u squared plus 2as. So what is asked in the problem? What is asked is smallest value of constant horizontal force P, which may be required to get this position. Okay. So here in this concept, we have to also take into account the F is equal to ma, that is the inertia force. Fi is equal to ma. We are using the D'Alembert's principle here, right? So Fi is equal to ma is taken. Here we know that the body is moving in this direction, so take the Fi is equal to 8a in this direction. What is 8a? 8a is nothing but m into a, so mass into acceleration. Mass is given as 8 kg. Now I want to know what is the acceleration, correct? Acceleration is not given anywhere in the problem. That is, they've given you the speed, they've not given you the acceleration. But if I want to find out Fi is equal to 8a, I need to know what is this a. So that I can find out by using the equations of motion. Equation of motion I can use because they have given you the velocity and initially just started from rest they have given. So when it is starting from rest, that is you have initial velocity as 0, final velocity as 1.5. So v squared is equal to u squared plus 2as, s is 10 meter. Substitute in this and find out what is the acceleration. Once you find out what is acceleration, you can find inertia force. Fi is equal to minus ma, which is 8 into 0.1125. This one, substitute, find out what is Fi, 0.9 Newton. Next, we will consider the equilibrium of forces because I want to find out what is P. So, summation f of x for this free body diagram, find out what is summation f of x. Summation of x is P minus Fi minus 15.7. Okay. So, Fi we found out as 0.9. So, P is equal to 15.7 plus 0.9. But from where did you get this? I am having 15.7 n because it is mu n, correct? I do not know this n, that is not newtons over there, that is mu n. So here I have the unknown n. In order to find out that normal reaction, I will have to go for summation f of y is equal to 0. What is summation f of y is equal to 0? There is only one normal force here in the y direction, n minus 78.48. Therefore, n is equal to plus 78.48. Substitute the 78.48 in this n, 15.7 n. So, plus 0.9, you will get it as 16.60. Okay, yeah, 0.2 into mu is 0.2, 0.2 into, sorry, 15.7 is got from here, that is f is equal to 0.2 n. What is n? N is nothing but this one, what you found out, 78.48. Substitute in that, you will get 15.7. So, P is nothing but this F plus Fi. Fi is here. So, total you will get it as 16.6 newtons. Second problem, two blocks A and B are connected as shown in figure. Mass of the block A 15 kgs and it is resting on the surface having a coefficient of friction 0.3. Here 0.3 is the surface coefficient of friction. Mass of the block B is 7 kgs. Pulley is frictionless. Determine the acceleration of the mass B and tension in the rope T. Okay, so you are supposed to find out the tension in this rope T. It's not, this B is not touching the surface, so you are not bothered about the friction forces here, but A is touching the surface. So if you look at here, in the previous problem we had only one particle. Here we are working on with the D'Alembert's principle application to the Connected bodies. This is a pulley. Similar problems we have worked out in friction. But the only difference there is we are not using this D'Alembert's concept over there. Okay. So other than that, friction force, normal reaction, tension, everything is existing even there. Here you are considering the Fi component. Okay. Now consider the block A and block B. Block A free body diagram. This is the tension here. We have always assumed tension to be acting away from the body. So tension T is acting here. For this block A, it's acting towards this pulley. Normal reaction wherever it touches the surface, that is N acting like this, its weight acting in the downward direction. So it is weight is 15 into kg, so into 9.81. Downwards, normal reaction upwards. This block is moving this side, so it is minus 0.3 N1. Assuming that Fi should be in this direction because it is moving and the force is, because of the forces, the acceleration is in this direction. So Fi should be in this direction. So it is 15. 15 is this kg into acceleration. Fi is equal to 15A. Next, block B, tension is acting upwards. Fi is acting because the block tends to move down. So Fi in upward direction. Okay. So, or say this heavier weight is 15 kgs is here. So assuming that the block is the tension force is here, Fi is also, so summation f of x is equal to 0 will be T plus T minus 15A minus 0.3 N1. So take the minus into the right hand side, minus terms, it will be plus T is equal to, this is the first equation. Next apply summation f of y is equal to 0 minus 15 into 9.81 plus N1, therefore N1 is equal to 15 into 9.81. You found out what is the value of N1, substitute the value of N1 here. Next, the equation reduces to T is equal to 15A plus 44.145. This equation reduces so much. Next, consider the equilibrium of body B. Coming to body B, T plus 7A, okay, summation f of y minus 7 into 9.81, bringing that minus 7 into 9.81 to the right hand side, you will get it as, and this also to the right hand side, you will get the equation as so much. Now I know equation for T is so much. Along y-x direction there is no force acting here. So I will equate the two T equations, one is this one and one more is this one, and find out what is the acceleration. After finding out the acceleration for this, substituting in any one of the equation, you can get the value of tension in the string. Next problem is blocks A and B of mass 20 kg and 45 kg. A is 20 kg, B is 45 kg. Are connected by the weightless, that is connected by here. This angle is given as 30 degree. Now assume the coefficient of friction for all the planes, even this plane and this plane, as 0.2. Determine the velocity of the system 5 seconds after starting from rest. So after 5 seconds from starting from rest means we will somewhere again use the equation of motion, first equation of motion, and find out after 5 seconds you will find out this one. So that acceleration we have to arrive at. How are we going to arrive at? Similar how we solved the problem that time. In that case this B was hanging in air, B block, whereas in this case this also is touching the surface. So here also friction force will appear, here friction force will appear, normal reaction will appear in both the cases. There is a self weight acting downwards. Okay, self weight acting downwards, you have to carefully resolve the forces. Along with that there is one more force, that is the inertia force in this direction, in the opposite direction. So here it is in this direction, here it is also in the upward direction, opposite direction. Okay, so depending upon the mass and acceleration. So mass of this body is 20 a, you write. You do not know what is acceleration, arrow heading this side. Weight is acting perpendicular to the x-axis, so like this, and the normal reaction in upward direction, tension in this direction, correct? Always the tension is outward from the block. And since the block tendency is to move in this direction, the F friction force is in the opposite direction. Same way, the tendency of the block is to move downwards, so it is friction force is in the opposite direction. Okay, so let us resolve the forces along the y and x axis. So along the x axis for the block A, it will be T, okay, T plus T minus 20 A and 0.2, that is friction force, 0.2 N1, this side minus 0.2 N1, and the weight component, that is 20 G, making an angle of theta, that is 30 degree. If this is 30 degree, weight will also make the angle of 30 degree with respect to the normal. Okay, so it is 20 G sin 30 along x axis. Here if it is making an angle, along y it is cos, along x it is sin, minus 20 sin 30 degree, 20 G sin 30 degree. Okay, summation f of y is equal to 0, only one component n which is acting upwards, n1, and w weight which is perpendicular to this, along this it will be y component minus 20 G cos 30. So n1 you will get the answer, n1 substitute over here. Still A is missing, similar to the previous problem. Go for block B, find out summation x is equal to summation y is equal to 0. Summation y is equal to 0 is easy because only one force acting. N2 is acting upwards, weight is acting downwards, making an angle of theta here. So first you need to find out what is this angle made with respect to the x-axis. See, if this is 30, this is 90. If I pull this line till here, this angle made is 60 degrees, correct? If this angle made with respect to the x-axis, this angle is 60 degree, then the angle made by the weight, if I drop the perpendicular angle, this also will be 60 degree. So while resolving, N2 minus 45 cos 60 degree, okay, minus 45 cos 45 G cos 60 degree. So my taking to the right hand side, you will get N2 is equal to 220.72 newtons. Now I have not done summation f of x is equal to 0 for this. Summation f of x is equal to 0, fi plus t, okay, this is the negative x-axis, right? So this is going towards negative x-axis. If I assume this as positive x-axis, then it is minus t minus f of I, fi minus f plus 45 sin 60 degree. Okay, this one 45 G, it's making an angle of 60 degree with respect to this. So along x-axis it will be plus 45 G sin 60 degree. So taking to the left hand side these three terms, you will get, or this to the right hand side, minus gets cancelled, all the terms will become positive, and substitute the value of N2 in this and get the equation. This 220 is for N2. So substituting here, you will get expression for t plus 45a. Now get the equation for t, 338 minus 45a, this one and the previous equation, that is this. Substitute this, equate this t with this t, you will get the expression so much. Find out what is a. So you found out the acceleration, but our aim is to find out not only acceleration. We found out acceleration is positive and our assumption that block B moves down the plane is correct. Okay, what I am trying to tell here is, we do not know whether the block A is moving this side or block B is moving this side. Initially we are assuming that block B is moving downwards. That is why we assume friction force upwards. In case after solving it for this, if you get acceleration as negative, that means what friction force we have assumed, it should be in the opposite direction. That is, if we would have got A as negative, our assumption that block B moves down is incorrect, we have to change. But here now whatever we have taken is correct. So we can substitute in the equations of motion. V is equal to V naught plus AT, that is U plus AT. Initial velocity, it started from rest, so initial velocity 0. Acceleration just now you found out 3.17 into t, 5 seconds they are given in the problem. Determine the velocity of the system 5 seconds after starting from rest. So initial velocity is 0, final velocity, time and acceleration is known. Find out the final velocity. Okay, so that is what, this is not second square, this is the second, meter per second velocity we are finding out here. Okay, yeah, with this we come to the end of the syllabus of elements of civil engineering and mechanics. Thank you for now.